Singh, Dr. Rana Preet Gill, Ms. Harmala Kaur, and Ms. Nilofer Masih. Thank you for being with us today. We are truly honored.
The rules for the event include the competition is open to the students of classes 11 and 12. The speech trophy is a public speaking forum in which the students display their oratory skills, express their emotions and views on topics of their own choice. The speech will be prepared beforehand. Paper reading is not allowed, although the students may refer to the paper.
The speakers will be assessed on a specific rubric of assessment with primary focus on effectiveness of content and oratory skills. The time limit for each speech is 6 minutes. The warning bell will ring at 5.5 minutes and the final bell at 6 minutes. The judges will take no cognizance of a speech extending 6 minutes. The speaker should refrain from using rude, vulgar language or a personal attack.
Finally, let's begin with the speeches. Please welcome our first speaker, Manya Garg, to the stage.
We've all seen a bird sitting on a branch right before a storm. It looks perfectly still, perfectly safe. But the bird isn't trusting the branch to stay strong. It's trusting its own wings to carry it if the branch breaks. Good morning to one and all present here today. Honorable judges, respected teachers, and fellow students. I've titled my speech today, What If We Fly? Most people hear those words and immediately think of success. They think of soaring, of reaching the top. But for a 12th grader, flying is a terrifying word. Because before we can fly, we have to do one thing we spent 14 years avoiding. We have to let go of the branch. For 14 years, this school has been my ecosystem. I know the rhythm of the bells, I know the exact creak of the chairs, I know the faces of the people sitting in front of me more than I know my own reflection. It's more than just a place, it's a security blanket. This is my comfort zone. It's the safety of knowing that no matter how bad my day goes, I'll see the same friends at the same spot tomorrow at 8 a.m. But as 12th graders, we're currently living through a series of lasts. The last time we'll wear this uniform, the last time we'll be protected by these four walls. And honestly, it is a little terrifying because change is a little addictive. It whispers, stay here. Here you are known. Here you are safe. The growth zone demands a version of us that has to survive a 10-hour flight to a foreign country or navigate a massive university campus in a city where we don't even know a single soul. Right now, many of us feel like we are drowning. We're staring at screens, chasing entrance exams, ranks, wondering if a single number will define our entire future. We're so focused on getting in that we haven't even realized what we're leaving behind. Still remember the branch we talked about? For us, that branch is this school. Since we were 4 years old, this has been the background of our lives. It's a place where our mistakes are handled by teachers and our meals are prepared by our parents. It's a place where we are known, categorized, and protected. There's another reason we avoid change, and we rarely admit this one out loud: comparison. As teenagers, we are constantly measuring our lives against someone's highlight reel. Someone got into their dream university, someone cracked their entrance in their first attempt, and someone has their entire future figured out, complete with a 5 year plan and a LinkedIn profile. And suddenly, our own journey feels smaller. It convinces us that everybody else is flying while we're just stuck. But what it doesn't show us are the rejections, the second thoughts, the doubts, and the fear that everybody faces. So we stay where we are, not because we aren't capable, but because we're afraid of flying at a different height than someone else. But growth was never meant to be a race, and flying was never meant to look the same for everyone. Now I know what you're thinking. The growth zone sounds exhausting. It's the stress of applications and the fear of being a new one in a new place. But The growth zone is where the best version of you lives. We realize that we're afraid to leave this bubble because we will become, we aren't as big as we thought we were. When we step out, we surprise ourselves. We learn faster. We discover talents we didn't even know we have. Most importantly, we grow into someone who's stronger, smarter, and braver than the person who was on the branch. In the growth zone, you find out what you're actually made of. There is a weird, amazing sense of power in navigating through a new city or fixing a problem on your own. You develop resilience. You realize that getting lost in that city is not the end of the world. It's just a plot twist. And what's a story without some plot twists? Then there is this worldview expansion. Staying here is like looking at the world through a keyhole. Moving out, whether to a university in the Europe or the US, or even a different state in India, is like opening the door. You meet people who challenge you and think differently. You stop being a student of the school and finally start being a citizen of the world. I'm not going to lie. I'll miss this comfort. I'll miss the unspoken understanding, the looks that said everything before a single word is spoken. But I'm more excited about the what ifs. What if the version of me 3 years from now is someone I won't even recognize today? What if the struggle of moving away is exactly what I need to finally grow up? So I ask you this again. Still remember the branch? As we walk out of those gates for the last time, don't look back at the branch. Look, don't worry about the gravity of the past. Look at the horizon. We've spent so many years preparing for this very moment, and finally, the wind is picking up. The sky is open. So, what if we fly? Thank you.
Judges to please note, the speaker spoke for 5 minutes and 26 seconds.
Give a round of applause for Manya. That's some great thought you've given us. Our next speaker is Maria Khan.
With great power comes great responsibility. Good morning, honorable judges and fellow students. My name is Maria Khan, and today I'll be addressing a question that defines our digital age. Does fame create moral responsibility? Are artists morally obligated to speak up against mass injustice? We often treat celebrities like they exist in a vacuum, as if their only job is to sing, act, or play a sport. But fame is not just a bank account, it's a platform. And in 2026, we need to realize that when you're holding a megaphone, your silence isn't neutral. Your silence is a message. The core of my argument is simple. Influence is a resource. If a famous artist uses their platform to sell us perfumes or tickets, they are acknowledging the fact that they have the power to change our behavior. They cannot then claim to be just an artist when human rights are on the line. Take the ongoing conflict in Palestine, for example. For months, the world has watched a humanitarian crisis unfold. When people with 100 million followers choose to stay silent, they aren't staying out of politics. They're choosing to let the status quo continue. They're choosing to keep the spotlight off the suffering. If you're neutral in situations of injustice, you've already taken the side of the oppressor. Now the question arises, why the silence? Often it's because fame is treated like a business, and social justice is seen as a bad investment. Artists fear cancel culture or losing sponsorships. But when we allow profit to dictate our morality, we lose our humanity. This silence is a betrayal of the very audience that gave them a platform in the first place. Artists are the architects of our culture. They tell us what to care about. When they speak up, they give their audience the permission to care. They turn headlines into human stories. If they remain silent, they are indirectly telling them that this specific injustice isn't worth the risk of their brand. They prioritize their image over human lives. We must ask ourselves, What is the value of art if it refuses to acknowledge the humanity of those being oppressed? Furthermore, history does not remember the neutral. When we look back at the civil rights movement or the fight against apartheid, we don't celebrate the artists who stayed silent to protect their sales. We celebrate the ones who put their careers on the line to stand up for what was right. Artists today must realize that they are currently writing their legacy. 50 years from now, the question won't be how many followers did you have? The question will be, where were you when the world needed you most? Now, some will argue that artists aren't politicians, that they don't have knowledge on complex geopolitical conflicts. But you don't need a degree in international relations to speak up against the loss of innocent lives or hospitals being bombed. To suggest that an artist to stay in their lane is like saying that their humanity comes secondary to their career. In conclusion, fame is a debt owed to the public. And when the public is suffering, an artist is morally obligated to repay that debt using their voice. Neutrality in the face of injustice is a myth. You are either part of the noise that demands change, or you are part of the silence that allows it to continue. Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 3 minutes and 54 seconds.
Thank you, Maria, for those enlightening words. Next up, we have Bani Sethi.
Every structure that stands tall begins with a blueprint, not for how it looks, but for how it holds, built patiently over time. In the same way, strength isn't something we notice in a moment. Rather, the most enduring forms of strength are quiet, and it lives in something what I call the architecture of our inner strength. Sometimes, if we're lucky, this architecture or blueprint is given to us by someone who has lived their life with such clarity and purpose that their influence slowly becomes a part of who we are. For me, this influence was given to me by my grandfather. He lived his life with such purpose and clarity that they slowly became a part of who I was. It's been nearly 4 months since I lost him, and while loss does bring emotion and grief, it also brings terrifying clarity. Not all of what he can give me can be put into my words today, but much of it lives in how I respond to life, how I stand steady, and how I think. Inner strength is the internal structure of resilience, emotional clarity, and values that shapes how we respond to life and how we influence others. It's the silent architecture we build within ourselves as people. And he built his with intention, not because life was easy, but because he met every chapter, whether it was heavy responsibility or simple everyday moments, with grace and quiet bravery. Every structure begins with a foundation, and for us humans, that foundation is our values, the things that remain unchanged even when everything around us tends to shift. And my grandfather's values were clear: humility, doing things yourself, and carrying yourself with dignity even when the situation changes. And these values matter because when life does become uncertain, it's not talent or success that holds us, it's our character. And I saw it in his simplest moments: the way he spoke gently, the respect he offered, how he listened fully before responding. And slowly, these became the ground that I stand on today. After this foundation comes the framework, the beams that allow a structure to rise. And for us, this framework is our resilience. My grandfather knew that nothing stays perfect forever. But he never let these difficulties make him bitter or harsh. And this matters because resilience decides whether challenges can shape us or break us. And from him, I learned that resilience isn't about never falling, it's about rising with intention and the ability to face life without losing oneself. But strength isn't just about holding that weight, it's also about the internal design, the quiet decisions that shape the people we are to become. My grandfather had this rare balance: gentle without being fragile, caring without being distant, and loving without losing his sense of discipline. This clarity matters because how we think determines how we act, and how we act determines the kind of people we become. We often imagine our role models as people on stages, big screens, someone with the most viral YouTube video, or someone with great social media presence. But sometimes a role model is someone who simply sits beside us, laughs with us, walks with us through our everyday life. And their life naturally becomes a part of our own choices. So I ask you this today: what blueprint are you following? What architecture are you building within yourself for those who will one day stand on your shoulders? We spend so much time shaping our exterior, our values, our titles, our fame, our image. But when the storm comes, it's not this title or image that stands, it's our architecture, our blueprint. So please, build this architecture, build your blueprint, be it yourself, even if you don't have a role model. Because when the time comes, this is the only thing that truly stands the test of time. Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 4 minutes and 19 seconds.
Thank you, Bani. Certainly something to think about. Next up is Amaira Gupta.
Yes. May I start? Greetings, respected panel, teachers, and my fellow peers. Strange topic, right? Let me explain. Have you ever been half asleep at 7 a.m. splashing water on your face before school, and suddenly you feel it, an eerie, creepy feeling, a big, dark shadow behind you, watching you, ready to pounce and pull you into endless darkness. Because obviously there's a demon, a killer clown, or your sleep paralysis monster standing directly behind you, judging your skincare routine. Be honest. I want for anyone who has felt the same to raise their hands. I sense those guilty smiles. But guess what? This right here is humanity in its truest form. We are the species that built rockets, decoded DNA, created artificial intelligence, and yet we cannot open our eyes because we're convinced a Victorian ghost has chosen this moment in our bathroom at 7 a.m. to make an appearance. Like, imagine the ghost is unemployed with no purpose in life other than watching you wash your face. Well, here's the thing though, and I want you to really sit with this. We know no one is there. We know it's just us, our overthinking brain, and questionable water pressure. And yet, we don't look. Now, before some of you think I'm saying to literally open your eyes and let so burn them, no, that's not what I mean. I'm not telling you to damage your corneas for motivational purposes. I am talking about the actual fear which is merely an ancient survival instinct, nothing more. Fear literally spells out to be false evidence appearing real. Fun fact, our brains are actually wired to sense when we are being watched, except now, instead of protecting us, it is sabotaging us. Our mind creates the threat and then convinces us it's real. And that exact mechanism is what I'm really talking about today. So, let me ask you again. Something so simple it's almost stupid, yet so important, I'm going to keep bringing it back. If you know nothing is behind you, why are your eyes shut? Because this is where it stops being about bathrooms. This ridiculous, seemingly insignificant fear, it's a perfect mirror for how we live our entire lives. We shut our eyes to possibilities because our brain creates threats that don't exist. Think about it. How many times have you wanted to try something? Really, genuinely wanted it. And then your brain immediately starts visualizing the worst possible outcomes. Should I apply for a position? Wait, what if they reject me? I want to try something new. What if I fail? Okay, then what? The world will not collapse, your school will not shut down, and your parents will still remind you to fill bottles at night. We avoid looking at opportunities because we imagine the outcomes that don't exist yet. We create these wild, dramatic, Bollywood level scenarios in our head, even though none of them are real, just like the ghost in the bathroom. But we hesitate because what if I fail feels heavier than what if this works? Because what if they judge me sounds louder than what if they're inspired by me? Because what if I'm not ready feels safer than what if I'm exactly ready? We close our eyes to avoid the worst, and in the process, we miss the best. Now, let me introduce you to a girl who has a competition idea in her mind and wants to pitch it to the principal. But every time she thinks about it, her brain sabotages her, replaying the worst possible outcomes on loop yet again. What if Principal Ma'am thinks it's a waste of time? What if she thinks it's an act of overstepping? So she waits for the perfect moment, waits until she is more ready, waits until the fear feels smaller. Except the fear never feels smaller. It just gets louder. Until one day, the voice in her head echoes. We always tell ourselves it's never too late. But what does it actually mean? It means you have to open your eyes even when your brain is screaming at you not to. So she makes a decision. She gathers her ideas, all her courage, and she runs through the corridor as her demons yell, "Abort mission!" She pitches her idea. And guess what? Principal Ma'am gets on board. The rejection she feared, the awkwardness she imagined, none of it happened. Because just like the bathroom ghost, it was never there. And that girl, she is me. Now, I want you to see how this connects all of us. That moment when I ran down the corridor, heart racing, fear screaming, that was my opening her eyes while washing her face moment. And this exact moment is what changes everything. Because if the bathroom ghost isn't real, what about all the other ghosts you've been living with? The ghost of what will people think, the ghost of I'm not ready, the ghost of what if I fail? What if they're not real either? We create all this in our head. You are not scared of the ghost behind you. You are scared of the ghost inside you.
And the only way to beat that ghost is to open your eyes. Open your eyes to what's actually there instead of what you imagine is to be there. Open them when you're scared. Open them when you feel unprepared. Open them when every voice in your head is screaming, don't. So, before I end, let me bring you back to the question we started with. The question I want you to hear the next time fear stops you from taking a step. If you know no one is standing behind you, why are your eyes still shut? Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 5 minutes and 48 seconds.
Good morning, honorable judges, respected teachers, and my dear friends. Before I begin, I would like to ask you all a question. If today was the last page of your life, would you be proud of how you spent it, or would you beg for just one more chance? Think about it, and I hope that you all will get your answer by the end of my speech. Now I want you to imagine something. Imagine that it's very late at night. You've just had a very heated argument with someone you love dearly. A friend, a sibling, maybe even a parent. Out of anger and ego, you shouted at them, slammed the door, and walked away. You didn't hug them when they needed you the most. You didn't say sorry for hurting their feelings. And remember, the last thing you gave them was pain. You turned away, not because you didn't care, but because your pride became a locked cage you couldn't open. So you left them sitting there, bleeding silently, with tears they never deserved. And you told yourself, I'll fix this tomorrow, it's not a big deal. So you fell asleep trusting a tomorrow that may never arrive. As if time is an ocean you can walk through safely, unaware that the tides can pull you under at any moment. And imagine, the next morning, you wake up, and they don't. That's when you realize that you didn't just lose an argument, you lost them, and every chance to make it right. The argument that once felt so big now feels like ash in your hands. So today, I, Anahat Kaur, stand before you to put my thoughts into words about an undeniable truth we all know, yet rarely live by. Tomorrow isn't promised, yet we live as if it is. We cage our feelings in the shadows like moths afraid of the flame, too worried about the society's expectations to ever spread our wings. We hesitate to speak our truth. Why? Because it might look uncool. We postpone love, honesty, and passion because we're so busy fitting into molds that were never really made for us. So why? Why do we wait? Why do we wait for tomorrow to tell someone that we genuinely care for them? Why do we wait to pursue something that actually makes us feel alive? Why do we wait to be kind, to be real, to be vulnerable? The truth is harsh. None of us know, neither you, neither me, if we'll wake up tomorrow. And when you truly accept that, the fear of being judged looks like sand slipping through your fingers. Tomorrow is not a deadline. It is a merely fragile illusion, like a candle in the wind, that we cling to so we can avoid living fully today. Writing this speech made me tear up a bit, because on two different ordinary days, I lost my maternal and paternal grandfathers. Both times, I thought I had more time. I thought I had more tomorrows to come. And both times, time proved me wrong. And suddenly, all the love I still had for them had nowhere to go. All the things I wanted to say still stay trapped inside me. In student life, we spend years chasing approval, grades, popularity, validation, while forgetting to chase the moments that actually matter. But remember, when tomorrow disappears, what remains is not how cool you were or how perfectly you fit in. What remains are the people you loved, the risks you took, and the honesty you allowed yourself. And remember this. You never know the storm someone else is walking through. That friend you deliberately ignore, that sibling you snap at, that parent you avoid talking to. They might be walking on a bridge made of broken threads, and your kindness could be the plank that keeps them from falling. That is why today matters. So make it count, because one day, when tomorrow doesn't come, you will not regret being too kind or too honest. You will only regret the chances you postponed and the feelings that you left unspoken. Tomorrow isn't promised, my friends, but today is standing right in front of you, begging to be lived. So go chase your dreams and chase them while you can. Take every opportunity like it's your last chance to prove that you were here. And ask yourself this. If you died this very moment, what dies with you? What dreams, what talents, what leadership, what greatness the world never saw? Because fear and procrastination told you to wait. Because waiting for tomorrow is easy, but living today takes the real courage. So live it fully, live it sincerely, and live it without waiting. Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 5 minutes and 52 seconds.
one I see in the mirror every single day because her face is covered in generations of dust and she doesn't have the same haircut I do. The difference between us is not character, it's circumstance. Good morning to one and all present here today. We live in a country that spent centuries fighting for freedom against a colonial regime. And thanks to the sacrifices of countless freedom fighters, we achieved it. But what if I told you we still aren't free? That freedom, when ignored, expires. According to the United Nations, over 100 million people worldwide are forcibly displaced. Nearly 2 billion people, or a quarter of our world's population, lives in conflict-affected areas. These are not statistics. These are ongoing humanitarian crises. And every crisis survives because someone, somewhere, decides it's not theirs to stop. Some might argue that freedom is merely the absence of subjection and that these global issues are a separate conversation. But freedom is not selective. It cannot exist in isolation. Freedom loses its meaning the moment it becomes a privilege for those who were born on the right side of the border, or in India's context, those whose ancestors chose the right side of the border. Freedom has many faces, and the ones we choose not to see reveal the truth about the freedom we claim to have. We live in an age where information travels faster than ever before, and yet awareness has not translated into action. We scroll past images of war zones while sitting in peace. We have turned tragedy into content and grief into statistics. Perhaps many people, even after knowing all the facts, choose to believe, not my circus, not my monkey. So let me share one last statistic. According to global studies, the average person is exposed to more violent news in a single week than previous generations experienced in their lifetime. And still, we ponder, why are people becoming numb? Maybe, just maybe, the fear of becoming numb is what should finally force us to care. Freedom is not something we inherit, it's something we maintain. So this 15th of August, while celebrating our so many freedom fighters, let us remember that we aren't truly free until parents in Gaza are no longer compelled to give their children salt water just to give their stomachs hope, until Hindus in Bangladesh are no longer burned alive, until days of mass killings are no longer remembered in Iran as bloody Thursdays, until the bloodshed of Sudanese people is not visible from space, until genocides in India are no longer mislabeled as communal riots. We aren't free while even one of our 7 faces remains unfree. Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 3 minutes and 52 seconds.
auditorium, and your school vice captain for this year is. There was a pause that felt like eternity. Then I heard my name. The applause erupted around me, but honestly, I barely heard it. My heart was pounding so loudly. After the ceremony, as students congratulated me, that's when one of my teachers, someone who had seen me grow throughout, pulled me aside and said something I carry with me every single day. This badge doesn't make you a leader. What you do with it does. The position isn't the dream. The dream is the kind of leader you choose to grow into while holding it. Power changes people, but those who stay true to their dreams, it helps them grow. So I dream of becoming a leader who's a learner for life. I want all of you to picture this, a 16-year-old sitting across the table with her parents. Her eyes are bright with passion as she talks about her dream. Maybe it's to become a classical dancer, maybe it's to pursue literature or start a small enterprise. And then she sees it, that flicker of concern across her parents' faces. Not anger, not disappointment, something far more complicated. And that was fear. Fear which is analogous. But what if this is a protective instinct that somewhere prevents their child of becoming prey to something they once became to? But those who have seen success, they have one thing in common, that they're all dreamers. Dreamers who were once called a bunch of misfits, who saw dreams much larger than what people ever in their wildest dreams could dream about. In the words of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, a dream is not which you see while sleeping. A dream is what that does not let you sleep at all. Taking this idea a little notch lower, every single person at some point in our lives would have begged the question, I try to give my level best, but then why don't I see the results I want to? Maybe it's a new workout routine, maybe it's to get that perfect summer physique, or maybe it's just your diet plan, or your New Year's resolutions. But what separates a dream from becoming a reality is one small choice, either to wake up or press that snooze button and return back to sleep and start regretting your actions all over again. But you know a wonderful thing about dreams? They don't judge where you start. They don't care about yesterday's failures or your last year's resolutions. They give you a fresh chance every single morning. No matter how many times you quit or fallen behind, a dream waits patiently, because at the end of the day, it is never about one day, it is always day one. You don't wait for that perfect opportunity, you create your own opportunity the moment you decide to start. So today, I ask each one of you here a question that cannot be answered casually. Is your dream strong enough to survive discipline? Is your dream strong enough to survive doubt? Is it strong enough to survive you? Because talent without effort fades, passion without action dies, and dreams without courage remain fantasies. There are countless in this auditorium who believe they don't have what it takes to make a difference in this world. But let me remind you, it was a black South African lawyer who fought against apartheid. It was a struggling single mother who wrote one of the greatest fiction novels, Harry Potter. And it was a young Vikram Sarabhai who had a dream for his nation and built ISRO. Don't be too overwhelmed. Just like us, these people were born as regular individuals who led normal lives, but their dreams outweighed what people could conceptualize. All of us have greatness within ourselves, but what is required is to test your own waters and soon become the light that guides you to places where you thought of seeing yourself once. I pray for everyone here. Dream big. Don't dream the possible. Dream the impossible. Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 5 minutes and 50 seconds.
not at the mercy of nature, they are in the jaws of mankind. And that, my dear listeners, is the real tragedy. I am Ruhan Bains, a student of class 11C, and I am here to tell you that I have never held a weapon, I have never slept in a bomb shelter, yet I know the names of the missiles and can recognize the sounds of the battlefields. And that knowledge did not come from fear, it came from comfort. I only stand here to shed light on the quieter damage that we have failed to see in this warring world. We, the youth, were supposed to inherit a legacy of courage, of strength in times of adversity, of cultures and values embedded into our identity. A legacy that we can point to and say, that's what our ancestors left us with, utmost pride, without any questions asked. But alas, what do we see now? No courage, no strength, no cultures, no values. We have inherited a legacy of violence, of cruelty, and of hopelessness. A legacy where trauma is considered as normalcy. We are not tired of speaking about PTSD, addiction, ADHD, and all those conditions that now define this entire generation living under conflict and confusion. The people in Syria and Gaza don't live in peace, they live under falling bombs. The lost generation of Afghanistan has never seen a sky without drones. It is heartbreaking that we no longer speak about nation building. Can you imagine how sorrowful it must be for an infant's heart pounding, witnessing their siblings being torn into pieces? How gut-wrenching it is to hear a helpless mother screaming on the top of her lungs over the lifeless body of her dead son? It is unbearable to even think about those, right? Well, these inhumane events are not only limited to mankind, they extend to our environment too. We can take an example of Gaza, where the loss of lives, polluted rivers, toxic diseases, contaminated land with a pool of dead bodies, and no wonder that list is getting updated each day as I speak to you. According to an estimation of the United Nations, it will take 15 years to remove the 50 million tons of rubble with around 100 trucks working full-time. The degree of physical damage may be assessed, but the mental damage that the people have endured is beyond even our imagination. When it comes to digitalization, I don't hesitate to say that a digital war is equally as destructive as a physical war. Where facts lose their authenticity, countless false videos and fake rumors are being spread online on social media networks. Even some government websites are hacked. If tomorrow's historians read only manipulated feeds, I ask, who will speak the truth? This is not far from home. Just beyond our northern borders lies the land of Kashmir. As Indians, we've always held our land close to our soul. And as our scriptures say, mother and motherland are greater than heaven itself. But what happens when that very heaven is riddled with fears, drones, and silence? The children in Kashmir don't dream of war. They dream of schools without shutdowns, of futures beyond fear. The most important question that comes to me is, do we still have a chance to make a difference? The answer is, yes, we can. But how? The truth is that while we've inherited pain, we have inherited power too. We are the storytellers of what comes next. We can begin by advocating peace education in our schools, where empathy and dialogue are taught just like maths and science. We must push for youth voices to be heard in policy forums and international rooms. In a world where digital wars shape perceptions, digital literacy should be our tool, and mental health support our healing. We must be the architects of a more humane legacy. Change doesn't begin in a war room, my friends. It begins in classrooms, in dialogue, in conversations, on screens. Let us be the ones who bring this truth back. Like my mother has quoted in one of her poetic renditions on Kashmir, "Ye jo aaj sach hai, kabhi jhoot hua karta tha." Want to change the narrative? Want to leave a legacy that doesn't have 17-year-olds like me stand on a school stage and plead for peace? Right now, somewhere in the world, a child must be learning the difference between the sounds of thunder and artillery, yet we still helpless. But a step towards change is like a mile to make the world a better place. I leave you all with that resolve. Let us rise together. Thank you for your time and thank you for listening.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 5 minutes and 47 seconds.
Give a round of applause for Ruhan Benz. What wonderful insights. The next person up is Naitik Jaggi.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got
Good morning, respected judges, teachers, and all present here. I'll be starting my speech on the reverse count of 3, 2, 1. Imagine standing at a starting line, not because you choose to be there, but because everyone expects you to run. The whistle blows, and everyone around you starts moving. And even before you are allowed to ask why, you start to run yourself. This is what success looks like today. Somewhere along the way, success stopped being personal. It has become standardized. It has become predictable, something which is to be approved by society. In our country, success often comes with a fixed image, good marks, a safe stream, and a respected career. Marks have started to define intelligence. Careers have started to be displayed as trophies, and streams have become worth of labels. We are constantly reminded of rankings, cutoffs, and comparisons. Relatives ask about our percentages before they ask about how we are doing. Conversations turn into competitions quietly but constantly. So we stop asking, what do I want to become? And we start asking, what will make people proud? And slowly, without even realizing it, we stop chasing growth and we start chasing applause. How many of us have chosen a subject that we didn't love, but it sounded right to the people, to the society? How many of us measure our worth through marks and our future through comparison? And how many of us are scared to slow down, not because we are wrong, but we fear being left behind? Now, let me ask you all something more specific. How many of you here have chosen science as a stream? Notice the reaction when you tell this to someone. People smile, they nod with pride, and they even say you are already successful. But here's the question we rarely ask. How many of those proud reactions are followed by concern? How many people ask about the inner battles that we are fighting, the pressure, the stress, the anxiety that silently comes with this choice. We celebrate the image of success, but we ignore the hardships of this so chosen stream that we think about. It happens wherever success looks impressive from the outside. Because in this race, we applaud strength, but we forget to check on the person who is running. Let us not forget Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His parents wanted safety and stability for him. They didn't want him to become a protest leader. They feared violence, arrest, and racism. But Martin Luther King Jr. chose purpose over approval. He believed that peaceful leadership could bring real change. And through courage, faith, and justice, he changed not just the parents' fears, but the direction of history itself. From this, I get to know that real success is not in choosing the safest path, it is in choosing what is right and what is honest. Well, I even think that why are we still growing, still learning, so desperate to lock ourselves into one definition of success? Why are we in such a hurry to declare ourselves successful or unsuccessful based on mark sheets, streams, and ranks? Maybe the real problem isn't failure. Maybe the real problem is that we inherit definitions before we discover ourselves. We are taught what success should look like before we can think what it should feel like. Like many students here, I was considered bright. I did well in my boards, and the next step was decided for me, science. Not because I had a deep interest for it, but it made people proud. At first, I tried to keep up, but slowly something began to slip. The stress became constant, and burnout stopped being a word. It became a feeling, and after a lot of struggle, I made a decision. I stepped away, I shifted to a stream that felt less burdening. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something new. Curiosity, interest, and growth. And that is when it hit me. Success is not about choosing the hardest path, it's about choosing the honest one. Because when success becomes a race, we don't ask who we are becoming, we just see who is ahead of us. Real success is not the applause you receive, it is the peace you feel when you're not performing for anyone. So today, I don't stand here to redefine success for you. I stand here and ask you all to reclaim it. Is your success helping you grow or just helping you fit in? Because success shouldn't be about reaching somewhere faster than the others. It should be about reaching somewhere meaningful. And maybe then success will no longer feel like a race, but like a journey worth walking. Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 5 minutes and 31 seconds.
What an eye-opener, Netik. Thank you. Now, we have Ajuni.
Tick, tick, 1. In that single second, our universe just expanded. Sit back, take a moment, and let that fact sink in. The universe that you and I are in, it just expanded. Tick, tick, 2. Somewhere in the multiverse, a star just died. Right now. Tick, tick, 3. A new one was born someplace else. Light traveled millions of kilometers, and time moved forward. indifferent to whether we were paying attention. Good morning, respected judges, teachers, and my dear friends. We like to believe that we are the main characters of this grand story, that history bends around our decisions. But if time itself could speak, I think it would probably laugh in our faces, because the history of the universe is 13.8 billion years old, and human civilization is only about 6,000 years. One average human life, it's not even a blink. It's more like a fraction of a breath. And to put these big numbers into some perspective, imagine that somehow the history of this entire universe was compressed into just one single year. Do you know when humanity would even appear? 11:59 p.m. on December 31st. And everything that we've ever loved, built, feared, or destroyed would exist in the final few seconds before the clock struck 12. That is how small we are. We are dust that learned how to think. We are a species fragile enough to be erased by one single asteroid or one virus, yet we are complex enough to ask questions about infinity or worry about speech competitions. And that is the paradox of being human. We are insignificant on the scale of time, yet we are immense in our experience. And even while hearing all of this, our minds are already racing ahead. Somewhere along the billions of years I'm talking about, a thought slips in. Oh my God, how long is this speech competition? Why can't it be the break already? I'm so hungry. I should have put on more perfume. Did ma'am say the test is on Friday? I haven't started studying for it yet. And the list goes on. We live in this strange middle ground. We are constantly suspended between the infinite, wow, and the immediate. And the truth is, time does not care about us. We care deeply about time. God, we are obsessed with it. We measure it, we schedule it, waste it, fear it. We are obsessed with controlling something that cannot be controlled. We try to tame our time through calendars, deadlines, clocks sticking on our walls. Yet the clock hands move with the same cold indifference. And I am the worst person to be preaching about this because I have cried 24 times during the course of writing and rehearsing this speech. Do you know why? Because it was taking up too much of my time and I should have been doing physics instead. Yes, that is true. But another truth that you and I both know is that every second that passes by is gone forever. No undo button, no replay. And that is exactly what gives life its meaning. Because if we were eternal, moments would lose their weight. If there were infinite tomorrows today, now, this second, it won't matter. Because our time is limited, it becomes precious. The moments we share with the people we love, they don't alter the galaxies or rewrite physics, but they alter us, and that matters. Our insignificance, it doesn't mean uselessness. A single spark is insignificant compared to the sun, yet it can start a fire and keep someone warm. A single word, insignificant compared to a library full of words, yet it can change a life. And we often think that to matter, we must be great. So we spend our entire lives stockpiling achievements, titles, possessions, as if they are armor against the passing years. We want monuments, buildings, books, proof that we were here. But the universe reminds us that even the grandest of monuments eventually turn back into sand. That the only true wealth that we ever take with us into the silence is the love we gave and the love we allowed ourselves to receive. Because our true legacy, it isn't written in stone, it's written in the people we touch. And perhaps that is the quiet power of being human. To know we are small, to know time will outlast us, and still choose to live, to care, to love, fully, fiercely, and while we still can. Because time will erase all of our names eventually. All that matters is how we fill the space between the seconds. Thank you very much.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 5 minutes and 26 seconds.
Thank you, Ajuni. That speech was wonderful. Now we have our final speaker of the day, Taranpreet Kaur Hundal.
Before I say anything today, I need you all to do something very small for me. In the next 5 seconds, I need you all to look around and choose any one person and look at them. And now, if I asked you to describe them, what would you talk about? Would you talk about their smile, their confidence, or if they look rude, arrogant, or shy? And now here's another question. How much do you really know what is going on inside them? Interesting, isn't it? In just 5 seconds, we create an opinion about someone we haven't ever talked to, or we don't know a single fact about their life. Good morning, everyone. I'm Taranpreet Kaur Hundal, and I'm here to talk about a habit we all have. The habit of deciding before even trying to understand. And this habit is exactly what my topic, More Than You See, is about. And I understood this even more clearly through someone very close to me. In my previous school, I had a friend who seemed to have everything figured out. He was a school captain, he was a great debater, he was an all-rounder, and a student who the teacher would proudly point out to set an example. And everyone, including me, assumed that success came easily to him, that he was naturally gifted, and that pressure didn't really apply to people like him. Then we changed schools, and for the first time he told me that how he felt the pressure of the other people's expectations and how exhausting it was to live up to the version of himself that everyone else believed in. How every mistake felt dangerous, how losing was never an option, not because he feared failure, but because it was never expected it from him. And I could never tell it from his face. I learned that human beings aren't stories written on the cover. The truth is that we don't need to know everyone's story, but we just need to accept that it exists. The person sitting next to you could be going through the hardest phase of their life, and you would never know. We grow up believing that what we see is the truth. Once, I decided to observe something about how we judge people. When a confident student speaks up, we call him a leader. When a silent student is shy and he remains silent, we call him incapable or insecure. When a popular student ignores messages, we call him busy, but when someone less like does that, we call him arrogant. Same actions, different labels. And this is when I realized that we don't judge behaviors, we judge people. And then we make explanations to fit our opinions. We all commit sins we are comfortable with and judge others for the sins we aren't okay with. And nowhere is this more invisible than on social media. All of us just don't hide our problems, but we filter them. It's funny how we hate to be judged, but scrolling through our phones at our homes, we don't take 5 seconds to judge someone's life or make hate pages for them just by seeing a single post. But aren't we all the same? We too only post our celebrations or our achievements, and we rarely post the days when we feel lonely or the pressure we carry. When we scroll, we aren't really seeing the people, but just the chosen moments, and when we only see few moments, we start filling in the rest of the story ourselves. Let me be clear, I'm not saying that people should share their pain with the world, because choosing what to share is their personal choice, and even I wouldn't want to be an open book in front of the world. But when someone chooses to hide their struggles, that does not give us a right to imagine their life. We decide who is lucky, who deserves criticism, or who deserves admiration. And I feel that sometimes the problem isn't that we don't know their story, but it is that we think we really do. We aren't obligated to like everyone, but we are responsible for the stories we create about them. Every person in this room, every person you walk by, or every person you scroll through online is scarring a world you'll never see. And after thinking about all this, the assumptions we make, the judgments we pass, and the stories we invent, I realized something very simple. We may never know what someone else is going through, but we can always control how we treat them. My mother once told me something that stayed with me. She said, if you ever notice something nice or kind about them, say it to them. Because we don't know what one sentence or one word could stay them with them forever. But so can the careless ones can stay with them. We cannot take our words back and ever imagine what the words could do to them. But the rare skill today isn't just kindness, it's perception. It's the ability to refuse to assume and to recognize that every person, whether they seem strong or flawless, is a living story far more complex that meets the human eye. Nelson Mandela once said that no one is born hating another person, and hatred is something that we are taught. And if judgment and cruelty can be learned, so can kindness, love, and patience be. And the choice begins the moment that you realize that there's more than you can see. Thank you.
Judges to please note that the speaker spoke for 5 minutes and 56 seconds.
What a splendid speech, Taranpreet. Please give her a huge round of applause.
The power is certainly evident in the voices heard today. We discovered some fantastic ideas which I'm sure the audience will ponder over.
Now with this, we wrap up the speeches, but not the learning. I would like to thank all our participants who had the confidence and courage to share their thoughts with us. I thank the audience for lending us their ears, and our respected principal, Mrs. Renu Puri, for providing our students with such opportunities.
Now, I would like to call up Major General Kulpreet Singh on the stage to say a few words.
Good morning, students, teachers, my fellow panelists. It's been a pleasure to have come here and witness this excellent competition of debate. Firstly, I would like to thank the school for having invited me and giving me the opportunity to come here and meet you all and to listen to the standards which you have set. And I must congratulate Vivek School for having done an excellent job and put up very excellent standards here. I would like to congratulate all the speakers. All of you spoke very well. You stuck to the rules, and the topics were very interesting. So whoever wins, well done, and whoever doesn't mind, don't mind about it, but you've done your bit, and I'm sure next time you'll do better. And it's basically a perception of the judges or the way they have gauged your performance. So don't worry about that. I would like to I'm grateful to the teachers who have taught you and your parents who have groomed you to where you have reached and the standards you have displayed. You've done an excellent job. Well done. Do well and continue doing well. In the end, I would like to just tell you all that the habit of reading is very important. You must devote more time to reading, spend less time on your social media and your phones, because if you do a lot of reading, it will take you well in life. And wishing you all the very best. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Sir, please accept our token of appreciation. Thank you for your time and support.
I would now like to invite Dr. Rana Preet Gill on the stage to share her thoughts and opinions with us.
Hello everyone, good morning. It has been an amazing experience to judge this speech competition. Everyone spoke very well. I just want to say winning or losing, it doesn't matter that much. So you have to understand that life has a very wide spectrum. At the end of the day, what matters is showing up. Those who came here and spoke up, they had that courage. So this thing is going to add to their confidence, less of stage fright, and eventually this is the process of growth. This is how you grow. And secondly, I also want to emphasize one thing, that definitely the speech competition was an individual thing. When I say showing up, it doesn't only matter that you have to show for something which you do individually. Whenever you are assigned a group project in a school, so somewhere I feel, this was in my mind, that somewhere I feel everyone doesn't show up. So this is also a prospect of growth, that whenever you are assigned a group project, each and every one of you should do your bit. And I want to say hello to my daughter, Seher. Come here. I'm so proud of her. So I have seen her grow into a beautiful, wonderful person in Vivek. Thank you so much. That's it. Okay.
Ma'am, please accept our token of validation. Thank you for your patience and time. May I invite Mala ma'am to please give away the certificates and announce the results. The participants are requested to come on the stage as their names are being called. Yeah, I'll call the names. Yeah.
I just also wanted to add, there were good speakers, but a couple of you read from your sheets, which is something which we really do not encourage. So just keep that in mind next time. And before I start giving the certificates, could I request my namesake, Mala and Nilofer, also to come up and help me in doing the honors, please, for the certificates.
Manya Garg. Maria Khan. Bani Sethi. Okay. Amira Gupta. Anahat Kaur. Mokshta Bajaj. Please keep the applauses going. Tanveer Singh Guliani. Ruhan Bains. Naitik Jaggi. Ajuni. And Taranpreet Kaur Hundal. Thank you. Over to you, Malama.
So, I think I'll start. We have 3 speakers, the best, and I'll start from the last one. Not the last one, the tops. Okay. So in 3rd position, we have Tanveer. Where are you? So yes, I know what your expression was when your name was announced. I was part of that. So dreams, please. And second, Amira. And yes, now for the speech trophy, Ajuni. Congratulations, Ajuni. Well done. Could I request the judges, all of them, and the English department, and all speakers to come on stage for a group photograph, please? Thank you. Okay, you can stand there. That would be pretty okay too. Please. The audience has not been asked to move. Please stay put. At the back, please sit down. Class 9, I can see you go. Please sit down. I think we need to get some of you go that side. Get closer. I request the participants and the judges, please, to join us in the foyer for a cup of tea. Audience will please keep seated till then. And before that, can we all stand up for the school song?
The sea. Together let us work hand in hand at Vivek and ring the bells of victory. Together unafraid for 100 nights, 100 days. Together let us go where Vivek's flag flies and friendship's banner raised. Unafraid, with knowledge and integrity, our motto at Vivek. Onwards to the goal we will always march, with faith and hope and cheer. Together unafraid.
What a day. I would like to thank the honorable judges today who have given us their invaluable time in supporting the annual Speech Trophy 2026, as well as the technical staff without whom this would not have been possible. Thank you all and have a great day ahead.